Hello everyone, welcome to Zoho SalesIQ's Actionable Marketing Series. I'm Fiaz Ahamed, a product manager at Zoho SalesIQ. And today we have an interesting session about something we've been hearing about a lot these days. It's not exactly new, but it's been gaining a lot of attention these days. And we are seeing it transform the way businesses operate these days. Most of you might have figured it out by now. Yes, we'll be discussing about artificial intelligence and its transformative powers, especially in customer service. And for that, joining us today is someone very special. So it's with great privilege that I introduce Mr. Ramprakash Ramamoorthy, the Director of AI Research at Zoho and ManageEngine. Welcome, Ram.
Thank you, Fiaz. I appreciate the opportunity. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. It's our pleasure. So you've been here in Zoho for almost 11 years now. You've been a pivotal figure here in AI research and making decisions on all kinds of things. You've been doing that for almost 11 years now. When you started with all these, the concept of artificial intelligence was fairly new to most of us here. Yeah. But you were already involved in it, hands-on. So how was artificial intelligence back then? How was the landscape of artificial intelligence? And how has it transformed over the years?
Perfect. Yeah. So, it has been a wild journey to say the least. Because when I walked through the doors of Zoho, I spoke to my hiring manager and said, I wanted to be an Android or an iOS developer. And my boss said, you maybe finish this project and then you can continue doing Android work. And then I still haven't finished yet. I haven't done Android or iOS programming in my career yet. But what a ride it has been. 2011-12 was the time when the whole notion of Hadoop and big data came in, where we were looking at things like, instead of moving your data to the compute, you move your compute to the data. So you had things like MapReduce, you had things where you did a lot of batch processing on the data that you had collected. And now the next question is, I have so much of data, can I add some intelligence to it? And like always, the consumer-facing technologies started taking a lead. Enterprise technologies always have the late mover advantage. If you think about it, the first few mobile apps that we ever used were all consumer apps. But today we have beautiful mobile apps designed to get a lot of enterprise and business workflows done. Same way, back then, social media, e-commerce companies, music streaming platforms, video streaming platforms, all of them had added AI-powered recommendations to their setup. And I was setting out on a journey to see if this technology would add any value to your average enterprise use cases. So the first thing that we saw was sentiment analysis. Today it's more like the hello world of AI. Whomsoever wants to try out AI, the first thing they try is a sentiment analysis experiment. And it was very different because as a programmer, you are used to code all the rules and then you see the system working. But this was totally different, where you just train the model with tons of data and then the model arrives at the rules by itself. And then you see how generic are those rules so that they fit all kinds of use cases. So we started with Zoho Desk. Back then it was called Zoho Support. We tried doing some customer support emails, sentiment analysis, where a support manager is able to see, is able to prioritize his tickets based on the sentiment. This was 2011. We did a proof of concept, but then we couldn't do much because again, the lack of annotated data, the data sets that we could get were all in the consumer domain. We had IMDb movie review data sets. We had an e-commerce company's product review data sets. But nothing, we still curated our own data set. Today it might look silly. How would you train a customer support sentiment analysis model on IMDb's movie review data set? Back then, it was like driving in the night. We were only able to see so far. And then we had to learn things as we go. Like anything in Zoho, we believe in building the long-term technical know-how. So 2011, it was a slow start. And then our first launch was in our ManageEngine lineup of products in 2015, where we started doing anomaly detection. Again, it was a soft launch. We had anomaly detection features that were based on your traditional rules, your mean, median, bell curve, the bottom 20 and the top 20% are anomaly kind of stuff, to having some past data, looking at the patterns, looking at the trends, looking at the seasonality in your past data, and then lowering and increasing your anomaly parameters so that you identify the anomalies at that point in time. This was more of a soft launch. And 2015 again was another pivotal moment for AI because a lot of evangelists like Andrew Ng, Andrej Karpathy, people working in AI would know. They started building courses and lectures around AI. So there was a lot of interest, and we had a lot of public compute infrastructure also come in. So what changed in the 4 years was the usually people say it's the ability to process more data on the cloud, but most importantly what has changed is the ability to process and the ability to collect data on the edge, right? If you think about it, your smartphone has, my smartwatch has all my sleep data from the last 7-8 years. My smartphone has all my location data from the last 15 years, and I'm just an average consumer. I'm not somebody special. So all of these data is being collected, and in the consumer world there has been successful business models built around data where we don't pay for our search engines, we don't pay for our social networks. Instead we give back a lot of our personal data, and then they target ads on us. I'm not talking about the negatives of it, but this kind of data driven business model actually fueled the growth of AI. But enterprise AI is still a very different game because data here is very sensitive. I am ready to give up my heart rate data to somebody, but my business's data is sensitive information, and I don't want my competitors to have access to it. I don't want my service provider using that data to give insights to my competitor. So it's a very different thing when it comes to privacy and AI and in the enterprise setup. So that is what we have been building over the years. 2015 was a pivotal moment. We started things, and 18 we had a lot of mainstream launches, and then during the pandemic again there was a lot of changes, a lot of improvements coming in. We started looking at the power of transformer architectures from basic convolutional neural networks and LSTMs to transformers. Changed the way we looked at things, and come late 2022 we started seeing generative AI in the fray, and that is where we are. So AI is used to this. AI comes in spurts. Right from 1960s we have had AI summers, AI winters. It always over promises and under delivers, but now the ecosystem is very mature. You have way to collect tons of data, you have ways to process tons of data on the cloud, and then you have business models around it. And then even for the enterprise use cases, there is a privacy friendly approach that you can take for AI. So now the ecosystem is complete. I'm sure it's not going to be spurts and ebbs and falls from now. It's going to be a very smooth process. AI has reached our everyday lives, and it is a pivotal moment, like you said, like the way your smartphones pivoted the way we work, or the internet pivoted the way we did businesses. So AI is a pivotal technology that we have today.
Amazing. That's really a fantastic journey. You mentioned generative AI. We've been seeing a lot of generating AI in the last couple of years, maybe.
Yeah.
The ChatGPTs, the Bards, DALIs, and Midjourneys, and so many applications stemming from these innovations. There was so much of hype around it, but now the hype dust has actually settled, and we are now able to see the real capabilities, the limitations of these innovations.
Yeah.
So, according to you, where do you see generative AI going from here? Is it going to flourish?
It is definitely. Generative AI is here to stay. But there are, again, like all the tools that you mentioned are still very good consumer tools. From a business context, with all the privacy flavored things, and me and my daughter were trying to surprise my wife with a birthday cake, and then we asked a very famous consumer LLM on how to make a chocolate cake. My daughter was very particular about an Oreo cake, and then it had mustard as one of its ingredients. Okay. It is still good. It is still pivoting technology, but imagine you are trying to debug something in your production environment, and then there comes a recommendation like a mustard in an Oreo cake. And I know that a mustard does not fit into an Oreo cake, but my daughter definitely does not know. So the same way, if you are not able to understand what kind of script the generative AI is generating, how safe is it to run that script in a production environment? What if it is some malicious code that has been injected into it, and all of your data goes elsewhere, or all of your data in your database table gets dropped? So it's important to understand how and where to use this technology. And like you rightly pointed out, the dust hasn't settled, I would say, because the dust has settled in the consumer space. But in the enterprise space, you should look at the people waiting in queues to procure GPU hardware. As of September 2023, when we are talking, the lead time to procure production grade training GPUs and inference GPUs, it is at least 8 months. So everybody wants to get their hands wet with LLMs, but not for the consumer space, but for the enterprise space. So what makes this different is what kind of training data do you use? And now let's say we have a use case in, let's say there's a product like Zoho Payroll, and I should not go and ask a question where compare my salary with Fiaz's pay, right? But it's still a legal question to ask, why is my September salary less than my August salary? Maybe because there was a professional tax component added. Now that's a good question to be answered by LLM, but then you need to have a lot of guardrails to ensure the privacy of the users, the privacy of the businesses, and the privacy of every stakeholder that is involved, including the LLM service provider, does not get released outside. But it looks like I'm doing a lot of fear mongering. No, but there's a lot of positive change that this can bring to the way we work. Things can get very seamless. I mean, for example, in Zoho, one of the very first and very powerful AI use cases that we did was grammar and translation, right? So we did grammar error correction and detection. We did language translation. And what problem did we address? Did we price this feature? No. But the challenge was, we saw a lot of people, including Zoho Corp's own people, using a lot of tools that were meant for the consumer to correct their grammar. That was meant for the consumer to translate their stuff, because, I mean, we are selling across the globe and you need to talk the customer's language. So nobody understands the privacy implications of all of this. You're putting in your customer sensitive information into a third-party translation tool that has been built for a consumer. And it can have any sensitive information within it, and you're legally bound to your customer that you're not going to leak the sensitive information elsewhere. So what we built was, we added a lot of these to our editor. So whatever editor you use across Zoho Corp suite of products will have an inbuilt grammar error correction detection, will have an inbuilt translation engine. So your context does not leave Zoho or ManageEngine's ecosystem. So that was a really powerful value add. I see the same thing coming to LLMs as well, because your organization's context has to remain between you and your software service provider. You are adding multiple other layers, it's only going to increase the complexity, because today the world is becoming more and more privacy aware. And the way in which LLMs are trained today, they're very data hungry, they're very compute hungry. And how do you procure this data? Especially when you're looking at SMBs, when you're looking at very humble organizations with just hundreds to thousands of rows, and they need some intelligence on top of it. And you go look up on anything, oh, the data is, that's how we started. Data we have is huge. I have terabytes of I have years of my step data collected, years of my heart rate data collected, but that's not the case with businesses. They have hundreds to thousands of rows and they need some intelligence, and the quality of the predictions has to be really accurate. One wrong social media recommendation, one wrong e-commerce product recommendation isn't a big deal. But let's say you're putting that in your CRM, and then you think a lead is not important, but then that lead could be very important, and then you're not doing the right thing. Look at the kind of impact that it can make. Or you give a wrong fix to a customer in case of customer support. Look at the kind of negative impact that could bring to your company. Or you use some questionable LLM with weak privacy policy and the data gets breached. I mean, we've all heard news about some companies' secrets were fed into an LLM and then the data came out in the public. So today, nobody wants to deal with a company who has suffered a data breach or who has had a questionable privacy policy and all of that. So all of these is very important. It's important for businesses to stay invested in LLMs. It's a key technology, but at the same time, just make sure you are aware of the perils. Make sure you take care of the privacy policy, see what the data retention period is, see how your data will be used, take an informed choice. That would be my...
Amazing. Thank you. You talked about so much of customer service. In fact, that is the theme of our session today. AI in customer service.
Yeah.
So according to you, how has artificial intelligence transformed customer service? No, not from a consumer perspective alone, but as a service provider as well. So what kind of impact is it creating in customer service?
Perfect. So absolutely, the goal of customer service is customer satisfaction. And then how do you bring that satisfaction? It's about reducing the mean time taken to resolve, or having a good L1 level automatic answering bot or something like that. So the friction your customer will have to reach to you. I mean, gone are the days of IVR. So we used to, press 9, press 8, press 6, and then you listen to some fantastic music while we are waiting, and then the guy picks up and then the call cuts. So thankfully we have moved out of that stage. Now it is bots. I mean, you ask any question, it's going to just tell you, I don't understand. I mean, there are surveys that point to even companies themselves. Today, almost every website has a bot. Every product website, or I would say some 80% of product websites have a bot. And the companies themselves are not satisfied with the way those bots work because it's very keyword oriented. But now with LLMs and AI coming into the fray, things get much easier. So today, for example, as soon as a ticket lands in the support mailbox, an AI engine is able to read through the ticket, understand what it talks about, and then it also has a survey of people in your support team who are specialists in resolving tickets in this particular domain. It also knows what their workloads are they available right now, and it also knows what the SLA of the ticket is. And then by looking at the ticket itself, it can identify the priority. Let's say a corporate internet network is down, is definitely a higher priority than, let's say, something like I've been charged too much in a bill. I mean, you can always pay back. It can wait versus a corporate network going down, thousands of people not being able to access the internet is a more serious priority. So the AI engine can understand what the ticket talks about, assign it to the right person depending on their load. And now it has, let's say I'm the support engineer, I have this ticket, and then it also gives me a context. So this customer has been with us for so and so years. These are the primary issues that he has faced. The overall sentiment of this customer is very positive, but all of a sudden he's having a negative experience. And for this kind of issue, there are 3 tickets that are related to this. I can show you these were the way that they were resolved. So it does not actually compose the response for me, but it gives me all the information that I need, so I can use my human judgment to see what would be an ideal fit, ideal solution to this particular ticket, this particular problem. So this way, your mean time taken to resolve goes down, your number of SLA violations actually come down, and you also keep the customer informed, right? So you can ensure that he is happy, and eventually a happier customer needs to more upsell and cross-sell opportunities.
Definitely. Yeah. We at Zoho and ManageEngine, we've been very proud of customer service. In fact, we've been very proud of it for a long time now.
Yeah.
It's one of the pillars of Zoho and ManageEngine.
Yeah.
Can you recall some instance where artificial intelligence has made a difference for customer service? Perhaps an incident or a number you can share with us?
I don't have a number, but see, at Zoho, we are increasingly moving up market. Both at Zoho and ManageEngine, we are increasingly moving up market. And we have stricter SLAs. And it is going to cost us a lot of money when we miss deadlines. So, and our product suites have also grown increasingly complex. If you think about it, we've started selling bundles like Zoho One, CRM Plus, where you need cross-functional expertise to identify and debug a particular issue which the customer has reported. So it's not about, previously it was, there is a question in CRM, there is a CRM support person who is going to get the ticket assigned on him and is going to resolve. But now there is a data plumbing problem between CRM and the help desk and the HR management system. Now you need experts from 3 different teams to work on this. And AI has played a pivotal role in solving specialized problems like these, where it would involve teams or multiple teams where you try and debug what could the solution be. So one thing that we have seen in Zoho is that the power of your AI engine multiplies when you don't have data in silos. So with stack like Zoho One or CRM Plus, we are able to see the 360-degree view of a customer, the 360-degree view of the employee, right from the time he came in as a resume in your recruit portal, and same time from a customer perspective, right from the time he or she came in as a lead, how was she converted, have a complete dashboard, get a good visibility. It's going to be a lot of push than pull, right? So that has really changed the way we deal with support. And like I said, as we move up market, support has been really challenging as we sell bundles of products. Using our AI bots to pull answers from our frequently asked questions so that a support engineer is in a CRM is aware of a problem that is happening in desk, is aware of similar tickets that have come. At the same time, without losing the customer's privacy, is something that we have been actively using in all our products. And at Zoho, like any other tool, we have been dogfooding a lot of our own AI. So whatever AI solutions we offer is first battle tested in our support team, in our operations team, and then it comes out to the customer.
Cool. Now, just imagine if I let's say I'm a business owner or anybody watching us, if they own a business and they want to get results like this from AI.
Yeah.
Is there a checklist to follow? Is there something to consider, maybe a specifications?
Yeah.
Or simply to put, how to identify the right tool for my business?
This is a great question, Fiaz. If you think about it, should you really worry about finding the right AI tool for your business? Or should your question be, how do I find out the right tool for my business? So let's take the focus away from the technology for a minute. I mean, if you look at Zoho, our first investment into AI was in 2011. The time it reached maturity was 2015. The same way, we have invested in a lot of technologies that never saw the light of the day. We did something called statistical relational learning. We invested a lot, we put in a lot of engineering effort into Web 3.0. But Web 3.0's context in enterprise software was very limited because most tools that we sell cater to intra-company use cases than intercompany use cases where there is a lack of trust. So these trends keep changing, right? Yesterday it was mobile apps. Today it is AI and generative AI. Tomorrow it could be something else. Now, if you're going to choose a software vendor based on these trends, it might be wrong. Finding a player who can continue riding all the waves. All of a sudden there is a mobile wave. Does this company have the capability to build mobile apps for me? And all of a sudden there is an AI wave. Tomorrow it could be something else. Is the company resilient enough to ensure they ride all the waves? It could be slow, but you just cannot stop doing it. So now all of a sudden there is a new wave that is coming in. Let's say quantum wave is coming in. I don't know if it will come, but if there is a quantum wave that is coming in and then you have to restart your software procurement process, then that is bad. Your existing technology provider should keep upping their game, should be ready to invest in whatever future trends that might come. And if it's going to help your business, they have to be on top of it. That would be a good way to see. And privacy is another important thing. Like I said, there's been a lot of awareness on the way we train AI models, what kind of data goes into it. Even at a consumer level, if you think about it, there's a terminal cancer patient. He's giving all of his data, and any treatment that we are going to recommend for him using an AI engine is going to be helpful. But something like, let's say I have my food delivery history and the app is sharing that data to my insurance service provider. See, ultimately the insurance service provider as a business is going to make a lot of money out of me, but that is my data. It has to be used for my benefit. Maybe it should push me to exercise more. But if you look at the history, it hasn't been that way. Ideally, most apps know your bank balance. Most apps know your transaction history, and they still keep pushing you to buy more, right? By showing ads and by tempting you to go on a vacation, tempting you to buy useless stuff. But ideally, it should work for your benefit where, hey, you've been consuming a lot of sugar. Cut down on the junk, eat healthy. Hey, you've been spending a lot of money. You don't need that latest gadget that has just come in the market. So it is working in terms of favorable to big businesses in a consumer world. The same way in an enterprise world, your data is going to be your competitive advantage. And if you choose a wrong service provider who is going to suck out all this information and is going to be selling it to some third party to show you some relevant ads or whatever it might be, that is going to be really bad. Privacy is something that should be at the top of your mind. So two things we have spoken so far: resilient enough to adopt trends, privacy, and these trends can keep changing. Interestingly, I was trying to book flights for my vacation, and there is a way to sort your flights based on carbon emissions, right? If I were an airline, I've invested so much in giving the cheapest fare to the customers, having a seat with a good legroom pitch, having good meals on board. But all of a sudden, there is a new variable where you just sort by your greenhouse gas emissions. So today, I mean, we all know that ESG is good, but today it's become an important factor. Companies, especially tech companies, they are wetting their ESG chain so that even the vendors they procure from are they carbon neutral. Right? A lot of times IT is underrated. I mean, when you think of flights, you think of carbon emissions and all that, but IT is underrated because so again, things like ESG can come in and change the way we do business. So it's important to find the software provider. You are not going to find an AI provider. Find a software provider who can stick to changing trends. All of a sudden, there's a work from home thing happening and everybody is accessing the data from everywhere. Is your software infrastructure resilient to handle these things and things that usually don't go out of fashion? Things like privacy, things like cost, things like better customer support. All of these are non-negotiables. And this is the way I think we should look at software procurement.
I really like the way you put it. Find the solution to your problem.
Yeah.
Don't go for technology.
Yeah.
No, but even when using these technologies, let's say if I had to use this technology, there needs to be a degree of discretion, right? I mean, we were touched on this point earlier as well. Any technology is a double-edged sword. So is AI. Now, on one hand, we have this reduction in cost, increasing sales, saving time, and all those things. On the other hand, like you said, there's going to be a privacy concern, security breach. AI, it has passed medical exams. On the other hand, we see lawsuits filed against AI because the painters, they say that their work has been stolen. So when companies they start using these kind of technologies, it is very easy to get excited by their capabilities and get carried away. And these privacy concerns, they can be overlooked very easily. So is there any advice? Again, this could be like a repeat question or something like that.
Yeah.
Is there any advice so that the companies can be wary of these kind of security breaches? Is there any checklist? Again, is there any checklist to see?
Yeah. So it is a bit difficult because the privacy laws haven't really risen up and haven't grown as fast as the way the technology has evolved. All of a sudden, you have an engine processing your credit information or recommending treatments to you when you are in an emergency situation. And who is to blame when things go wrong? There is no legal framework around this. And we have heard stories where bias is creeped into the system. A company's recruitment AI wouldn't select candidates based on their gender or race or something. We've seen a lot of that happening. So one way to do this, I mean, to mitigate all of these privacy and security concerns is, see, AI is a very different technology unlike your traditional technology. The way it works is more probabilistic than deterministic. See, there is a 80% chance that this lead would convert. There is a 60% chance that this lead would become a customer. So how do you craft your workflows for the 80%? How do you craft your workflows for the 60%? So it's a good thing to see, and these AIs can hallucinate as well. Remember, we talked about the mustard in the Oreo cake, and there are tons of examples on the internet where these LLMs give out something totally unrelated. So it's important, especially when you have an AI engine that can spit out things, and you need to have the brains to understand is whatever is coming out, is it right? So for example, in ManageEngine, we have seen a lot of cases where a model would have generated some piece of script and the person is not able to understand what the script does, and then he runs it in his production environment. Remember what a kind of disaster it could be. So today's LLMs are hallucinating. It has to be, I am sure when enterprise focused LLMs come, there will be proper guardrails on this. And once the whole hardware infrastructure eases out, I am sure we will have a lot of companies building these LLMs with guardrails, LLMs with proper that don't hallucinate, or at least that are based on ground truth. I mean, if you think about it, I am going to ask a question to an LLM. Let's say I have Zoho invoice, and then I'm going to ask a question. Here is my procurement policy. Here are my invoices. Find out the invoices that deviated my procurement policy, right? And if every time your LLM is going to give you a different answer, that is stupid. Right? So the difference between a consumer grade LLM and an enterprise grade LLM is going to be this. And today we don't have any enterprise grade LLMs. They keep hallucinating. Every time you regenerate, they're going to give you different answers. How do you stop this and build something that is in tandem with the ground truth that you have. I mean, you have a bunch of invoices. You can have a human vet through and find out the invoices that actually deviated from the policy. And you have an AI engine that can do the same. What percentage of overlap will be there? And it goes away when every time you ask the question, it gives you a different set of answers. That is going to be ridiculous. So there are a lot of challenges when it comes to this, like we spoke about privacy, security, accuracy concerns, and bringing in bias. And a lot of times people ask, "Oh, how could a CRM be biased?" I mean, it could be biased. You never know. How do you prioritize your customers? How do you prioritize your, let's say from a customer support perspective, how do you prioritize angry customers? How do you prioritize high value customers? How do you prioritize issues that are more pressing than issues that can wait for 7 days to get resolved? So today's AI is very consumer first. I think when we start bringing in more enterprise context to this, for example, in Zoho, we have added to all our non-LLM models, we have added explanations wherever possible, right? So for example, our grammar error correction detection tells you what is the corrected sentence and what is the kind of error this is. I mean, it could be a incorrect singular plural thing. It could be a mispronounced word. So we also explain why that decision was taken. Or we consider this lead to be at high risk because he has not done so and so. So when you add that because clause, I mean, it happens with our kids, it happens in our team. When you ask somebody to do something, they don't take it seriously. But when you ask somebody to do something and also explain why they would need to do it, that has more weight. So this movement from process automation to decision automation can be made better when you start adding explanations into the process. So maybe that would be one pivotal step for enterprise AI, enterprise LLMs to come in. And the other biggest challenge I see is the cost. Today, running an LLM is expensive. Training an LLM is beyond the reach for most companies. The data requirements and the compute requirements are crazy. I am sure over the years, there will be a lot of algorithmic development where we were able to do more with less data, with less compute. Today, LLMs are expensive and all use cases don't need to pay the GPU tax. It's okay. Narrow AI models can still do the job. That's what we are trying to do in Zoho. We are also building an LLM, but then we have increased the variety of the narrow models. I mean, they just do one thing at a time. Twitter sentiment analysis model will only look at tweet sentiment. An email sentiment model will only look at emails. A chat sentiment model. So these are called narrow models where they just do one thing. So a combination of these models is enough in most of the cases. Unless and until there are special cases where you need LLMs, you might not need LLMs for most cases. And that comes with a GPU tax, that comes with a cost. So over the years, we will see the footprint and cost that is required to train these LLMs coming down. Till then, you're good with narrow models would be the part.
Yeah, that's something we should be bearing in our mind and starting with AI and everything. Now, an interesting question. Personally, I wanted to ask you this as well.
Sure.
Now, like I said, the last couple of years has been a flurry. We have seen so many activities in the area of artificial intelligence. And Zoho has been busy as well. It's been buzzing. We've been releasing a lot of features and everything.
Yeah.
What are some of the features that you are actually excited about? And if possible, can you give us an insight about ongoing R&D in Zoho and ManageEngine? All those features we can expect maybe in a couple of years or maybe next year, something like that?
Sure. So we have had a lot of medium language models. Remember, we spoke about the translation and grammar models. And we are also preparing models that with the ground truth as focus. So for example, we spoke about invoices and procurement policy. The same way, here is my travel policy. Here is the list of receipts that an employee has submitted. It will be multimodal because when you go on a trip, today we have this feature where you go on a trip, you take a photo of your receipt, it can be automatically expensed. Right? Now, from the administrator who is vetting your expenses, here is the travel policy, here are the list of expenses that this person has submitted, find out if something deviates. So which means from the images, you take the OCR, I mean, you take the characters and you see what deviates from the policy. For example, a flight upgrade is not permitted or alcohol is not permitted. And then you see that there is a flight upgrade that has happened, or you see that a person has spent more than, let's say, $200 per night on a hotel room, and that is flagged. So that way, when the administrator reviews all your expenses, it's going to become much easier for him. So you change this from just expenses. You look at all kinds of documents that flow through the system. So we are going to tie our LLMs into a lot of document processing engines because your enterprise is a lot of documents. Even though these documents are digitally generated, they flow into the other system as PDFs. And there is somebody who is typing in that PDF into some other tool. This is a typical enterprise workflow. So I'm very excited about the possibility of bringing in LLMs to document processing. We're calling it intelligent document processing. It can be invoices, it can be receipts, it can be legal agreements. Let's say you have a ton of legal agreements and then you can go ask which are the ones that deviate my privacy policy. Here's my privacy policy. Look at the kind of value add these bring. And again, it's a long game. There is nearly, I mean, if you're going to ask me, can I see it in 1 year? Can I see it in 6 months? I honestly don't know, because there are a lot of unknowns when training LLMs. There is a huge procurement delay as well. It looks like training these LLMs is not an AI problem, but it's more of a high performance computing problem. All of a sudden, we need to invest in thousands of GPUs. We need to invest in the network infrastructure for all of these GPUs to talk to each other. So there are a lot of work that is happening. At the same time, we will continue to keep investing on our narrow models, our models that can do one thing at a time. Generally, they say, LLM is the way to artificial general intelligence. I still don't believe in that, because I don't think we will achieve general intelligence by doing next word prediction, right? The explain like I am 5 version of LLM is something that can predict next words. So we will still have a long way to go to achieve AGI. We are investing in a lot of these technologies just to see if it will fit the bill in the long run. And if we see that there is some promise to the technology, we will keep investing more engineers into the problem. That's how we have worked. I mean, when I joined Zoho in 2011, I was kind of freaked out when they said the company is running its own data centers. I mean, why not be it on AWS? Why not be it on some Azure's cloud platform? But then today I'm able to appreciate the kind of difference it makes to our customers, to our business. And a lot has been spoken about technology sovereignty and all of that. So the belief that we will build things for the long term, we will have the deep technical know-how of how to do, is something that has stuck to us in everything we do. And the same thing applies to AI. So we will continue to keep investing on this technology and all the other waves that we'll be seeing in the future. So I can talk about a lot of features, but this is the broader direction where the promise to our customers is that they won't be left in the lurch from any emerging technologies.
Cool. I mean, that is what AI has always been about, right? Excitement. I'm personally excited, actually. Yeah. I hope you found this session informative. Ram has been giving us a lot of information about how AI can be used in customer service. And talking about customer service, we at Zoho SalesIQ have been working tirelessly to bring AI into a feature set. And Zoho SalesIQ is basically a multi-channel customer engagement platform. So the combination of multiple channels with artificial intelligence and of course the power of live chat, they form a formidable duo, and they've been working wonders for our customers. So if you are a business owner who is looking to improve your customer engagement and customer experience, Zoho SalesIQ is your tool, and I strongly recommend you try it out. This entire session was actually to give our audience an idea of how to get started, where to get started, what are all the things you should be wary of, and all those things. And I believe that we have achieved it thanks to you.
Thank you.
We have a busy schedule, and thanks for allocating your time to.
Absolutely, it was a pleasure. I enjoyed the conversation. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.